I'm Madeleine Anderson, Director at Company Evolution and Executive Chairman for AI events for this year. So today I'm looking forward to having a chat with Yuval Ziv, Managing Director of Digital Payments at Nuvei.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Madeleine. And it's a pleasure to be here once again at the ATPS with you and meeting also our peers of the industry, our merchants, our partners. As you mentioned, I'm part of Nuvei. And I am the Managing Director of Digital Payments in Nuvei. And I'm with the group for 14 years as part of my roles with the SafeCharge. I was an MD at SafeCharge, and SafeCharge was acquired by Nuvei more or less a year plus ago, and it's been a successful and exciting year for us. As for the news that you are referring to, you're probably referring to our latest IPO, and the company has been listed in the Toronto Stock Exchange, very much successful, recognized as one of the largest IPOs in the Toronto Stock Exchange history.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what we've been reading about. So it's quite an achievement. So what is it about Nuvei that differentiates itself from the other payment players in the travel industry?
Well, I believe that there are a few parameters for the differentiation. The first one, and maybe the utmost in importance, is the fact that we are actually a payment technology company that values the different competitors and the cooperation, what we call competition in the market. We are cooperating with multiple gateways, acquirers, and serving our merchants into the best of their interests, placing the merchants at the driver's seat, allowing them to choose. And we are basically flexible in our approach. The first and the most important advantage is definitely our flexibility, allowing us and the merchants to work towards the best conversion out there. SLAs are super important as well, making sure that our platform is always up and running to serve any different peak of the transactions of the different operators, and obviously the global coverage, allowing the merchants to transact in local currency, in local shopping experience in everywhere that they are choosing to target.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you. So what challenges are merchants currently facing that this approach helps to address?
I believe that in the past, when merchants had to choose and had to commit to one single alternative or one single provider, they had to think twice, 3 times, and many more before they had to change or add any sort of payment means or payment partner. These days, when partners like us are basically allowing the flexibility of cooperating and in one single integration working with multiple providers, and it doesn't matter if it's acquirers for cards, if it's gateways, if it's alternative payment options provider, the entire flow and the entire strategic decision behind choosing a payment provider is being much easier and flexible. As such, we believe that not only that we are modernizing the different payment decision, we are also bringing the value of the knowledge and the data that already have or presence within the operator capabilities in order to drive more revenues into his business.
So I imagine these challenges are even more important to address during and post-COVID.
Exactly. I believe that especially if we're looking at the travel industry, COVID has been significantly challenging for the travel business and the airlines or the online travel agencies out there. But in any case, for all of us, the COVID and the pandemic has brought some uncertainty into the equation. A lot of situations of chargebacks and refunds, sometimes even what we call in the industry double dipping, where there is a refund and the chargeback as well into the same transaction, reconciliation, and mainly credit risk. How an operator is handling together, sitting together with the partner and handling the different equations of the risk and the uncertainty coming in his way. All of that has been significant part of the day-to-day of travel operators in the latest few months.
Yeah, very much so. So there are a number of third parties involved in every transaction. So is Nuvei able to enable the merchants to capture a bird's eye view and analyze all of the data?
Absolutely. I think that on top of the one single integration that we are providing to multiple providers, and again, it doesn't really matter if the merchant wants to utilize our platform for multiple gateways, for multiple acquirers or alternative payment options, the one thing that they need as well is data, streamlined data that are handed over to them with all different angles and in any means, if it's by mobile, if it's by PC, if they're by daily reports. We are basically streamlining the database or the data that is needed for the merchants in one single dashboard, in one single cPanel that is being handed to the merchants to analyze this data and to take actions as well. It's not only information, but it's also actionable back office that allows responding to different situations in the organization.
Okay, now a bit earlier you mentioned chargebacks, so I'd like to come back to them for a moment because the industry has faced and is continuing to face a record number of cancellations and chargebacks. So what are your insights on how they can be managed more effectively?
So we've seen a few different angles from the industry as a request, but also us as a provider and a partner for those merchants. When we just recognize the entire pandemic influence on the travel, we basically formed a committee internally, reached out to more than hundreds of different travel operators out there that is working with us or in a process of working with us, and formed basically the day-to-day do and don't or can and cannot do in order to make sure that you are successful in managing those risks in such an uncertain situation. Chargebacks, as you mentioned, what we've done few things in order to handle those. The first activity or action that we've taken is introducing an early warning mechanism that basically allows any operator out there the maximum time to go and handle any dispute together with the users, allowing the operator to refund, to work together with the user in order to change the date of the travel, to work with the user in order to handle any kind of dispute in all the means that the travel operators have in order to limit the risk for chargebacks. More than that, we've also introduced payment methods such as buy now and pay later, such as escrow accounts to hold the different function or allow the functionality of holding funds before the travel date. All of those has been part of our day-to-day discussions with the travel operators.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Before we move on to longer term challenges, could you give us some examples of recent technologies that Nuvei has deployed to enable travel merchants to resume operations?
Absolutely. So travel as we see it is a very wide in scope. It can be taxi applications, and we've introduced into the UK market. We've released a success story with Envoy taxis where basically, and we've seen it in any different taxi apps that we are serving, where basically user is trying to limit not only the contact with anyone else, especially with people that he's not familiar and wants to pay from far, but more than that, also trying to pay in a distance, book his travel in advance, make sure that he is the one that has reserved the travel properly or the seat properly. We've introduced the QR code and pay by link, both of those functionalities enabling any retailer or travel operators to handle those transactions by far. And we've actually seen such a technology being adopted not only by travel organization, but also by cities implementing smart city concept, like city of Lugano that adopted our pay by link and QR code to reserve the seat or the place for any CTA activity, but also to pay in advance, making sure that no cash and no contact is being done when they are paying. The early warning functionalities that we've already mentioned is definitely part of the overall tools that we've introduced in order to manage chargebacks, disputes, and risks that are very much common in this pandemic period.
That's really helpful. It's really helped bring it to life for me, so thank you.